Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sogcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Matt.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm Owen.
Mariners just completed their first sweep of the year.
Sweep.
Sweeping up the Rockies.
Oof, the Rockies are looking rough.
They are not a good team. It was blatant out there. They have a couple guys like
Chris
Bryant, who has battled back injuries the last 3 years, and it's kind of derailed his career, unfortunately. I'm a Chris Bryant fan. Loved him when he was on the Cubs. They have Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah, he's still there.
Who's got a sick-ass beard and a terrible batting average.
He was hot 3 years ago.
Yeah, at one point.
He's good in right field.
That was nice for Mariners to pick up momentum rolling all over the Rockies. We needed it. Things have been turning around. Since our last podcast, we had a few tough losses there. That was Sunday, Monday, against
the Guardians, and then going into the Cubs.
Yeah. So the Guardians losses, we went into extra innings with them. Pretty close games, tough losses. I remember the Cubs game too. We went into extra innings.
Yeah, we had Mariners had back-to-back extra inning games and back-to-back extra inning losses, which is tough.
Against the Cubs in extras, we had Brash come in, and they had a sneaky guy on second base. I forget his name right now, but he ended up swiping third. Made it real easy. We had our infield in.
Yeah.
Made it really easy for them to just slap the ball somewhere and win the game, which kind of sucked. But hey, we were in those games. They're really close. Tough losses.
One of the really deflating losses was the Mariners blowing an 8-run lead against the Cubs. We really needed Flexen to pitch well in that game, especially with getting the spot start for an injured Robbie Ray. Really wanted him to come through, and the Mariners gave him that cushion early. And there's no nice way to put it. He pissed it away. Gave up, walks, hits, grand slams. It was a rough outing for him, and I really, really wanted him to pitch well in that game. However, with as deflating as that loss was, the Mariners still managed to go 3-3 on their first road trip of the season. And realistically speaking, if you're ever going 500 on a road trip, that's a positive. You want to perform at least, middle ground on road trips. And they did. It's just that Cubs loss really made the road trip, I think, look worse than it actually was.
Yeah, the Mariners put up a ton of runs early that day and then pissed it away. But at the same time, that's kind of when their turnaround was happening. Their offense started clicking. We started hitting the ball all around the ballpark. Nice windy Chicago. Lots of offense out there. That's when Kelenic started hitting homers. That's when Teoscar started turning it around, putting the ball in the air. We were hitting the ball all around the park. And even though we lost that game, that's the turnaround point. I think that's when we're like, okay, our offense is clicking. We just need to have everything come together. And since then, they've been playing really clean baseball, I think.
Kelenic hit a 482-foot homer, which is the longest homer in almost 20 years.
It was the longest Mariners home run in StatCast history, which, to be fair, StatCast has only gone back to, I believe, 2015. It's kind of a relatively newer technology. But, yeah, Kelenic has the furthest recorded home run in Mariners history, beating out a Mike Zunino home run by 12 feet.
And he beat Javi Baez's record for a home run at Wrigley Field by 1 foot.
He shit on that ball.
That ball was insane. He shot it up into the air, and it blew out, but at the same time, he knew he got all of that. It would have been out in any ballpark any day.
Also, dead center, too. Straight away center for almost 500 feet. Insane.
Wind assisted or no, it was launched.
Yeah. Kelenic is really breaking out. I know Owen can't be happier. Always been a Kelenic stan. And seriously, he's becoming a star in his own right. He had a home run in 4 straight games. On top of that, he had like an 8-game hitting streak. And today, with the Mariners sweep of the Rockies, he had the only RBI, an RBI single, and the Mariners won 1-0, and then made a diving catch in right field with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position that would have tied the game up. And he went all out. And yeah, Kelenic is he's breaking out. It's so good to see.
I just want to say another one of his home runs during that streak in Chicago, he hit a missile off the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Just straight away right, too. Like, that was a no-doubter off the bat as well.
That's bad. Yeah, today he also stole second and then also got to third on that steal because the catcher overthrew. But then we couldn't bring him home. But he was there, willing, God willing, ready to score.
Yeah, I mean, Kelenic, he was at the end of his leash, and we've been saying this whole time, like, he has to put up or shut up, and like, this is the year to do it. And it's so good to see. Really breaking out, and he's still young. I mean, 23 years old and now becoming a star in his own right. I mean, it's just really beneficial to the team and for himself. And you notice his interviews have been a lot cleaner, a lot more fun. He's having a good time with the team. He's really enjoying it.
Do you think it's like a case of we called him up too early? Because, I mean, we got him from the Mets, 4 years ago? And he started, playing, I can't remember specifically. It was definitely 2 years ago he started playing with us. But he was 20 years old, 19 years old.
Yeah, I'm going to look up his age here. But he's still really young. We got him as a highly touted prospect from the Mets. And he came up in our system quickly. And we did push him to the highest level fairly quickly and young in his career and in his life. He's still in his early 20s.
Right, I'm thinking he's obviously got the skill, but it was always that mental game that he was really weak at. And when you're cruising through AA and AAA and slaughtering all your opposition, you get this false sense of confidence. And
yeah,
maybe he came into the majors thinking it's it's another day at the ballpark. I'm gonna clobber it, and then he gets knocked down a whole bunch of pegs, and he's just it messes with his head, right?
Even on his debut day, he had a tweet. It's been ready,
yeah, right.
Because he was feeling that on top of the world feeling. He's I can beat any pitcher I see. Every pitcher I've just been destroying. And then he got to the top level and got knocked down a peg. He had to
a few
reassess.
pegs.
Yeah, yes. But now he's nice and leveled out, having fun.
Kelenic was drafted by the Mets in the first round of the 2018 draft, and then sent to the Mariners later that year in December.
Did he come through on the Edwin Diaz trade? Was that?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I was gonna say it's very clear now this season. Kelenic is very collected at the plate. He's putting together really, really good at bats. Laying off. Last year he was swinging at shit.
He was chasing.
He was just trying to get ahead and try and get a ball in play. And so he project himself into this really great MLB hitter, and he got made foolish. He was looking foolish up there, and so now he's getting walks. He's getting on base. He can steal bases. He can be put in positions to score. He's also a really good hitter, and I just really enjoy watching him. It's just exciting. It's that same feeling you get when you watch Julio. Or oh my God, what is he gonna do? He's gonna do something.
Yeah, for a while there, it wasn't that exciting, I don't think. And now that he's breaking out, it's totally exciting, and I'm on board with you. I'll go on record and say you were right, Owen, and I was wrong. I was a
give
hater.
it a year. What if he's just in a fad where he's just killing it for this month, and then I'm not going to speak that evil into the world, but
you just did.
Too late.
No, just to clarify,
Pandora
that
doesn't
trade,
go back in the box.
I only opened it a little bit.
We got Justice Sheffield for James Paxton from the Yankees, and then we traded Diaz and Cano for Kelenic and Justin Dunn.
And Jay Bruce, Anthony Swarzak,
Jay
Jerson
Bruce.
Button.
I forgot about him.
Some guy.
So Kelenic really was the big piece in that trade, and Justin Dunn was a good add-in. Plus we had, and Jay Bruce, and then a bullpen guy, Swarzak. So it was a good trade for us just to kind of get a haul, but it was mostly for that prospect capital where Jarred Kelenic should have been an up-and-coming prospect. He got into a tough spot, and he's showing that he's ready. He can break out as a star in this league.
I just want to say, going off of your earlier question, Owen, if Kelenic was called up too early, I don't necessarily believe that he was, because he was crushing AAA. I think the biggest setback for him was the mental thing, where when he got up here and wasn't performing like he thought he was, and like Matt said, he tweeted on his debut, "Been ready." And he was pretty outspoken that like, oh, the Mariners should have called me up earlier. I can really help this team. And it turns out that that wasn't the case. And I think that if he had better mentals going into it, he wouldn't have struggled as much. I mean, of course, making that leap at such a young age, you're going to struggle. You're going against now the top 1% in the entire world. You're going to get knocked down a little bit. And if he had handled that a little bit better in the beginning, I think he would have found some earlier success. But now that he is finally, and I mean, it's got to be also with the coaching staff too, right? Of hyping him up, but also like keeping him level-headed. And yeah, so I don't think he was called up too early, especially with how he was dominating AAA. But he definitely had his early struggles to start.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I think I've mentioned it, but Kelenic and Julio were being talked about as the next two guys to get brought up, and which one are we going to bring up first kind of thing. And I think Kelenic kind of was the one that we were planning on bringing up, and then Julio just busted the doors open. So we brought Julio up before Kelenic, and I think that maybe kind of messed with him a little bit. He was like, I'm the one. Why didn't you pick me? But then, eventually we got both of them, and I think it's all good now.
That's a really good point. Like, we can tell from Kelenic from the last couple of years, he's got that ego on him. He's got it's more in check now for sure this year. And that's why I think he's had success. But I think before that, he had that ego. He's like, I'm the guy. I'm going to bring this club out of the depths of hell and take him to the playoffs. And I think when Julio was brought up and then was started to kill it last year, like, Julio had his struggles like the first month or so, and then he started to like really carry the team. Kelenic's like, shit, like maybe I'm not that good.
I don't know if he ever doubted if he was good.
Maybe he doubted that he wasn't like the guy, the number one guy. Like, it's not like his sole mantle to carry the team.
Yeah, maybe. But that, like Patrick said, you're dealing with the top 1% in the world. Like, you're going to get a big ego check. Real quick.
True.
Reality's going to hit you hard.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are talented the way Jarred Kelenic is, you know what you're capable of. And when you hit that upper threshold and realize that all these guys are as good or better than you as pitchers, you know what I mean? Like, you are facing that top echelon. How many pitchers are there in the league? It's a small amount of professional baseball players that ever get outs in the major leagues. Those guys are really good. And yeah, I mean, on the way up, you need that kind of mindset, though. He knows he's that good and was performing at a super high level all the way up until he hit the top threshold.
Like, he didn't know what failure tasted like.
Yeah,
That's true.
So, yeah, this is his first taste. He's been humbled a bit. He looks awesome. He looks like he's having fun. Yeah, nothing bad to say about Jarred Kelenic.
And also, like, baseball literally humbles everyone that has ever played the game. And that's why until like the last couple years where the bat flips and the showboating has become a little bit more mainstream across the league, which again, I'm all for. Love it. However, the reason why it used to be so frowned upon, especially with like rookies or like these young hotshots, it's because the game is gonna hit you right back. Like, even if you start off really hot, the game can turn on you, and it will turn on you. And so that's why it's kind of been this kind of, oh, you shouldn't showboat, you shouldn't do any of this because the game is going to humble you, which it does. But also, I kind of like the balance now of also, if you put up in a big spot, flip your bat, pump your chest. Like, you deserve to celebrate. And I really love the direction the game has changed with letting guys show more emotion and stuff. It's fun for the league. Now we have plenty of positives to talk about with the Mariners, but there has been some early season woes, and one of them, which has been the Mariners' woes, even last year when they made the playoffs, too many runners left in scoring position, too many runners left on base, not coming through in those clutch moments, and it's been killer. I mean, it used to be kind of a saying around us, like if we're playing our backyard wiffle ball games or whatever, we get a leadoff triple and can't get them in to score. Oh, you Mariners did. Just not being able to get that easy run in. And even, like last year, Mariners made the playoffs, but how many times did we have a runner at second or third with nobody out, and it's 2 strikeouts and a ground out? Can't get them over, can't get the ball in the air. And the Mariners offense has been coming around a little bit of late, but still the runners in scoring position, the left on base, it is way too high. And they really, really need to get that shit figured out.
Yeah, it's been a plague on our team for a while now. Matt, what do we got as far as clutch stats?
Yeah, so I've got some stats just with runners in scoring position in general. The Mariners have had 169 plate appearances, and they have 37 hits, 8 doubles, 1 triple, 3 homers. They're batting .266, slugging .403, an OPS of .778. So it doesn't look that bad, but I will say this is including April 15th, where we kind of just...
Julio had the bases clearing triple. That really helped.
Yeah, and they hit a couple guys, walked in a couple guys, so that helped our stats here. So we're not looking as bad. But like you were saying, Patrick, like with a runner on second base with 0 outs, we're 1 for 13. We're hitting .077.
Wait, with 0 outs
and a runner on second.
Yeah, a leadoff double or like say a single and a stolen base. Runner on second, no outs. We're 1 for 13 so far.
Trash.
That's miserable.
It's bad.
Yeah, but like in other stats, we're okay. We're like with a runner on third with less than 2 outs, we're actually hitting .290. We're not
That's
like
awesome.
slugging a lot, but like that's pretty good to see. But it's not the best, you know what I mean? Like other teams are going to be doing better with a runner on third with less than 2 outs. I don't know about how often we convert that, but we have opportunities. We're like 17 for 37, so that's pretty good.
That is good.
With bases loaded, we're hitting .316 and slugging .421. It's pretty good. We don't have any grand slams yet. Julio hit that triple yesterday, which kind of boosted the slugging on this. What do you got, Owen?
Who do you think hits the first grand slam this year?
Oh, I got it right last year.
You said
you
Julio, right?
I did say Julio, and it was.
I
Predictions?
have a prediction. It's Teoscar Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. It's probably Suarez.
Kelenic.
I would love for it to be Kelenic, but you can never walk away from a table when you're on a hot streak. Julio Rodriguez, first grand slam of the season.
Yep.
Oh my God, if it's Kelenic, that would be.
Oh, I'm going to be in the chat. You know I'm going to be in the chat.
I will say, though, despite our runner in scoring position woes and the times when we just really need to get them over and get them in, one person that I've talked about plenty on this early season about not coming through in the clutch is JP, and he has turned that around immensely the last week and a half. There's been so many times coming up in that 9 spot, and he has worked tough counts and gotten walks to turn it over to the top of the order or working it to get a nice pitch to hit. He has been coming through really nicely in the 9 slot. And I know Garrett and Matt, you guys have both been components of have him in the 9 spot because he can turn the lineup over. And I was kind of wary about that. But no, he's really coming through on that. And yeah, I mean, you want to get it to your top of the lineup guys. And he's been doing that, working really tough counts, having some pretty good at bats. He doesn't always come through in the most clutch of times, especially if there's 2 outs or 1 out, runner on third, and you just need to hit the ball in the air somewhere or somewhere on the right side. but his plate discipline has been really great. And yeah, he's been taking his walks and turning the lineup over. So I'm very proud of JP. That's good to see.
Yeah, like he said, get on base, let the big guy hit you in.
Yeah, JP has been working counts. He's filling his role in the 9 spot, willingly takes that spot and turns it into a second leadoff spot. If there's 2 outs and JP's up, he's still trying to work a walk. You know, he'll make the pitcher work, especially if the first 2 batters got out. Like, make that pitcher throw a few pitches. Let your pitcher take a breath. He's become a nice veteran at bat where you can trust him to put the bat on the ball, foul off a couple pitches. He might strike out sometimes, but he can poke the ball from pole to pole. We've seen that he can hit the ball to left field, and he works on that. We've seen that he can put it in the gap with some power, and he's been on base a lot. He's been working counts and walking in really big positions. And April 15th, the bases were loaded, or his first and third, and he slapped one into the outfield after working a count. I think it was full count, and he slapped one into left field, and we scored a run. And then Julio came up and cleared the bases with a triple.
Hell yeah.
And Julio directly led to that with that walk. And Colton Wong actually worked a really good walk right before. That's what I meant to say. Colton Wong walked, JP
Crawford,
slapped
yeah.
one, and then, yeah, Julio cleared him. It was a great thing to see with 2 outs especially.
And Colton Wong, he's still right now being an Adam Frazier 2.0 for us. Unfortunately,
Riding the struggle bus a little bit.
Riding the struggle bus. He's starting to get a couple hits here and there. It's still not quite enough. Not really what we want to see from him, but still early on in the season, there's enough time for him to turn it around and figure it out. But who is turning it around and figuring it out is now Teoscar Hernandez, who also started off the season abysmal, and we were kind of worried of like, oh shit, is this what's going to happen again? And yeah, he's really started. He had the 2 home runs in one game. His defense has been nice. I don't know if I like him in right field as much as Kelenic, though. Kelenic had that great diving play today. I think Kelenic might have a little bit more range in the right field spot. Maybe Teoscar has a little bit of a plus arm in right field compared to Kelenic, but it's not like Kelenic is noodle arming it out there. He's got a strong arm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'd say Kelenic is probably a stronger right fielder. Teoscar holds it down out there. He has a good read on the ball. He has a decent arm. But Kelenic's younger, faster, and he does have a gun. I've seen him throw the ball. Like, when he throws the ball at 100%, he does have a cannon out there. It's just that we haven't really seen it much. We've only seen it a couple times because he has been playing left field. He doesn't get to use it. So,
Kelenic got a lot of work today in right field.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say, like, Kelenic made a game-saving dive in right field today to stop a run or 2.
Yeah, it was with 2 outs, and if that ball had gotten down, it was a run scoring easily, which would have tied it 1-1.
Yeah, it was 2-out double.
2-out double. Yeah, that was 2-out double material for sure. And I thought, oh, could Teoscar have made that? And I don't know. I think, not that Teoscar's a bad outfielder. I think Kelenic is just so light on his feet and quick and athletic that he can make those types of plays that I don't think necessarily that Teoscar can get.
Also, remember, before Julio became our star center fielder, Kelenic was going to play center. He has the range for it. He was originally going to be our center fielder until Julio broke out as quick as he did. And so now he's regulated to one of the corner outfield spots. I personally believe Teoscar's bat is coming around. He's doing better. I would imagine more Kelenic in right, Teoscar in left, Pollock probably gets the axe, or La Stella gets the axe when Taylor Trammell comes back. And then Taylor Trammell can platoon on either side of the outfield.
Yeah, we'll see. We saw Taylor Trammell, last year, 2 years ago?
Last year.
And I mean, I thought he was okay in the outfield. He kind of struggled at the plate a little bit, where La Stella and Pollock probably have a little bit more plate discipline. They're vets, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Kelenic being in right field more often. Teoscar could play left or DH more, especially when we get Trammell back. He's working his way back. He hasn't had his cup of tea necessarily. I think they are going to give Trammell a cup of tea and figure out what to do with one of those roster spots. Our DH spot's been really dismal.
It's bad.
To touch on Teoscar turning it around, though, he has been on a tear. He has a 6-game hitting streak. He has 2 hits in each of the games in Colorado. Hit a monster bomb in Chicago. He's putting the barrel to the ball, and he's hitting it all around the field, singles and for power. So I think Teoscar is going to keep doing what he's doing and have hit streaks like this often, you know. He's going to be a very valuable asset to our offense. He's dangerous.
I don't understand what you mean by cup of tea.
He's had his cup of tea in the majors, meaning you've had time to take it all in, sit down, have a cup of tea. Like, yeah, have your cup of tea. Like, you have a good shot at it, you know? Like, how we kept sending Kelenic up and down and fucking with his, like,
he never got his cup of tea.
He didn't really get his cup of tea. We kept set right.
He had enough time.
He'd have a sip, and then he would get take a 30-minute break, and then have another sip.
But then it's cold.
Yeah. You gotta sit down and relax. Have your cup of tea.
Okay.
Yeah. So Trammell, I think they are going to give him a little bit of an extended run mid-season and see what turns out. You know, he is young. He's fast. He's a left-handed hitter, so I think he'll be up playing some games at some point. I don't know how the roster moves, but
I'm just curious to see how his bat shakes out this season.
It cannot be any worse than Pollock or LaStella.
Not worse than LaStella. LaStella is...
Pollock had those 2 bombs.
He's hitting like 140.
Higher than LaStella.
LaStella's hitting like 70.
Well, hopefully we see our roster shift in the right direction. We saw Marco went on paternity leave. We had Tommy Milone come in and pitch the first game against the Rockies. We called up Caballero, our middle infielder, because Sam Haggerty was diving for a ball in his day-to-day, just feeling iffy. So we're waiting for Dylan to come back. We're waiting for Trammell to come back. Marco will be back for his next start. He had his child. Congratulations,
Marco.
Tommy Milone did his work. We released him.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring that up. I thought what the Mariners did was so grimy. And I get it. Milone has come up and down in the past, out of options. I get it. But to call him up for a spot start, and he performed well, 4 2/3, and they pulled him before he could officially get the win with 1 out to go. He had 2 outs in the 4th inning. You need to make it to 5 to officially qualify for a win. I really disagree with how the Mariners handled that. To call him up, have him perform so well, and then as soon as his start was over, they just straight up DFA'd him. And I get it, out of options. He has been an up and down guy in the past. But man, that is a dirty way to do someone. I disagreed with that move by the Mariners wholeheartedly. I did not like that.
So, yeah, Milone has been a guy who has been that spot starter for us. He did that last year. He's been up and down. Probably is out of options, right? So the only option is to DFA him at this point. But I think owners and the league talk about this kind of thing and say, hey, I'm going to release this guy, but let him clear waivers and we'll take him back just to kind of reset his minor league contract or whatever. Sign him to a minor league contract. And I think the owners talk about this stuff. I think he's going to go around and we're going to find out that we picked him up again. He cleared waivers and nobody signed him and we take him back.
And just for a quick kind of explanation about the DFA thing for any fans out there that are wondering. So essentially, if a player runs out of options that you can send him back to AAA and you call him back to the major league roster, you have to essentially DFA them, which is designate them for assignment, and they go on the waiver wire where any team can pick them up. If they are not picked up off the waiver wire, then they do revert back to your AAA team. So essentially there's a however many day window where any team in baseball has any right to just pick someone up off of the waiver wire. And what Matt was saying about, oh, maybe the owners talk about it and stuff like that, of like, hey, just let this guy slide. We want him to go back to our AAA roster. I don't know if I see it like that. Like, maybe they do talk, and maybe there is some discussions that go around the league. However, if a team really wants to pick up a guy and they feel like it will be an added benefit for their team, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, you asked us nicely, we'll abide by that. If they see something that can help their roster, they will pounce on it.
Sure, if somebody is valuable like that, say Kelenic went on the waiver wire, that would not be the case. But someone like Tommy Milone, who isn't super valuable,
right?
You know, like it's
not
kind
a lot of teams are looking for a Tommy Milone.
Yeah, and it's a guy that like, or it's a move where I think they talk about it in a way that's like, hey, we're going to do this with this guy, so when you do it with your guy, we're not going to pounce on him and try to, snake you guys. I think it's kind of a quid pro quo kind of thing. Like you're going to let it happen, and we're going to let it happen later when you do this with your guy who's out of options. Because they know they kind of need that spot starter sometimes, and that's the role they fill. It's a low value role that's only a small contract and usually turns into a minor league contract. So it's not something that other teams are so worried about. It's not a high-value player.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can kind of see that. Also, though, we had such a run with us being kind of haggard in the bullpen. We had to call up, we had those extra inning games. We had starters getting booted early, so we had to use our bullpen a lot, especially back-to-back extra inning games.
Jose Rodriguez is the guy who came up and threw a bunch of bullets, and we just sent him back down.
Well, and then there was BJ Bukaki who came up, and what's his name? His name is like
Bukakis or something.
It's like JB Bukakis, but come on, he pitched like BJ Bukaki, and I mean, it just like he got called up, pitched in that extra innings Guardians game, and just immediately shit the bed. He was not ready for major league hitters, and sent him down right away. And for Tommy Milone to come in an even more high pressure spot to get that spot start to perform, and then they're just like to pull him before they should have at least let him get the win. There was no reason. We had like a 5-run cushion. He needed one more out. I disagree with them pulling him before he could qualify for the win and then DFA'ing him immediately. Drives me crazy.
I remember the situation. So Chris Bryant, who homered in the first inning off of Milone,
yes,
had a hit in his second at-bat off of Milone.
He was 2 for 2, yes.
Seeing him well all day. Chris Bryant was on a roll. He's not just like seeing it well today. He's actually been doing well most of the season. So with a runner on base, I think there's a runner on second base or first base. There's a runner on. With Chris Bryant up, if he hit another homer, that's a 2-run game. And they didn't want to like make it into a high pressure, high leverage game if they didn't have to. I say sit on, like bring in Brash, bring in somebody who's has more of a strikeout potential so that runner stays stranded and we don't have to worry about Chris Bryant, who's seeing the ball well off of Tommy Milone, go deep, and then we have to pull him because that feels bad too.
Let's intentionally walk him then.
We could, but like there's two
now
outs.
Now you've got 2 runners
There's
on that.
2
like,
outs.
I see it.
It's 2 outs. Well, it's 2 outs, right?
And the guy behind Chris Bryant can probably hit the ball too. It's the top of their order. So what I'm saying is I see where you're coming from, and I wanted him to stick in there and get that out too. But I know what the Mariners were thinking, and it became a chess game where, hey, let's put in a strikeout pitcher here instead so that there's no risk of hot Chris Bryant, who's seeing the ball well off of this pitcher twice today, is going to do any more damage. They wanted to limit the damage, and I wanted Milone to get that win for sure. I wanted him to stay in there, but I know the move that was made was probably the right move.
I don't know. Sometimes that chess game that Service does ends up hurting us more. I don't know. Sometimes it's so early in the season. Like this man is like, he's a spot start. Just like let him finish it out. Like Chris Bryant was what, 2 for 2?
He was with a home run.
Why? What's his average? What are the
He's
chances?
hitting over 300, and like he's been hot. They're at home. I don't know. I mean, I see the move that was made, and I stand behind it. But I see what you mean. The chess game does become a little bit weird.
It's way too
sometimes.
nuanced. Like I think service is like it's like trying to play chess on like 5D, and there's pieces up here and down here on the fourth fucking plane. It's just like, just let him pitch. If he fucks up, DFA him, which is literally the same result as what we did to him.
I'm with Owen on this one 100%. Not that you're not raising good points, Matt. You really are.
I got one more.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah,
for
lay
it.
it on me.
After those 3 tough losses,
Uh-huh.
we can't lose that game. That makes it more of a high leverage move, even if it's early in a game with a spot starter who deserves to get it. Like after those 3 losses, we couldn't make that game close. Like it became that way because of the 3 games we're coming off. We're trying to turn it around and keep this 4-run cushion, not make it 3-5. You know, they're playing their odds. It's better odds to bring in a fresh pitcher that's probably going to strike the guy out.
Was that Tommy Milone game the day after that Chris Flexen went out there and...
Yeah. I believe it was, right? Because that was the last game of the road trip.
It was the day after that.
So Chris
that
Flexen
ass-eating.
threw kind of a terrible game, and then the day after...
Not kind of. It was
awful. He went
really
like
bad.
3 innings or something.
And gave up fucking like 11 runs or some shit.
Yeah.
It was I mean, he blew the lead, so it was at least 9 or 10 runs.
So the next day, Tommy Malone's out there, and like you're saying, they're playing chess at that point. They can't lose this game. Like, we've already had bad starts.
Yeah.
And now we're dealing with the paternity leave pitcher.
Yeah.
That's just like, dude, he did what he needed to do, and he did it very well. But like, let's win this ball game.
Yeah. I mean, there's good points all across the board. I still just... And yeah, Matt has definitely raised a lot of good counterpoints.
You're making a great romantic, sentimental baseball point, and I'm with it, Patrick. I am.
That it's dirty to DFA a guy after he performed well.
He'll be back.
If
Didn't let him get
Service
the
was
win,
thinking
yeah.
about shit statistically and logically, why the fuck is Marco still here?
He's having an okay start to the season. Marco's
Because
doing
he's
fine.
Yeah, he's been doing fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Malone did fine,
Malone did great.
but here we are.
Marco is an established
here we
veteran in the
are.
league. We've had this whole conversation. Come on.
Also,
He's here.
Along with our bullpen, how we've always talked about kind of the next man up and how any reliever can become that guy. Topa has come up from AAA. I think he came up at the same time as JB Buka Suckass or whatever. And Topa has been phenomenal. He's had 5 appearances now, still a 0.00 ERA. He's on that Casey Sadler shit.
Casey Sandlot.
Casey Sadler shit of just not giving up runs. He's been amazing to see. And talk about the next guy up. Also, Penn Murphy has been absolutely dominant this year. So the Mariners have always found success in the bullpen.
All right, I want to add one more guy to that reliever list.
What's up?
Bring in the lefty, Spire, dude. Gabe Spire has been really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Spire and Topa, both of them really come up out of nowhere. They hadn't really had a presence with us before. And yeah, they're dominating. And Matt has been a big advocate of needing a left arm.
Give me one.
In the pen. And yeah, Spire has pitched really well of late. Also, it's interesting to see that Diego Castillo has not gotten much work at all from the bullpen. They've had to use him sparingly, but it's clear that when it comes into like clutch situations and shit, he's not that guy this year.
Definitely playing a lower leverage role, whereas, like I've been saying, Matt Brash has been pushed up into a higher leverage role. He's been pitching a lot in high leverage spots. Unfortunately, we haven't really talked about Munoz going down, but he's been out, and I hope he's okay when he comes back and doesn't need much of an adjustment period, because him and Brash at the back end, along with what Sewald is doing, Dad is actually destroying back there.
I want to say one thing that's amazing about Sewald is nowadays, especially when every reliever coming in is throwing 95 plus and just completely hammering it into the zone. We have Paul Sewald as our closer coming in. He maxes out at 92 miles per hour.
Finesse.
And he throws like, he's like a 2-pitch guy. He has a 92 mile per hour fastball and he has like an 85 mile per hour slider. That's all he throws and he gets it done. And he's not like, he has these hitters looking foolish. I mean, today he closed out the game for the save and he actually threw the fastest pitch I ever seen him throw for the final strike of the game to strike out Charlie Blackmon for the save. It was 93 miles per hour.
Ooh, so getting up there.
You were really amping it up. But
Flames coming off the laces.
But it's so crazy to, like, as relievers have evolved and everyone has this plus stuff.
Yeah, we have Munoz with the 102.
Yeah.
Like a slider.
And the slider and stuff. And we have Sewald over here just limping it in there. Not necessarily limping it in there, but not having this high heat potential.
Yeah.
And he has hitters look foolish.
Did Sewald do the sweep?
He did not. I think he gave a little shimmy, but no sweep.
Not against this team.
No,
Yeah.
It's the Rockies, you know. They're playing with
Showboat on some nerds.
Yep.
He did give a little shimmy though. He's known to showboat a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
And
I mean,
like
get
that, too.
excited.
Yeah.
I like
you
well,
did
no,
great.
I
but
like that
he's the
he can perform and then he showboats. Like I that's
Yeah.
fine. But when we have like Fernando Rodney
Shooting the arrow.
shooting the arrow after he gives up 2 runs in the bottom of the top of the ninth, we have like a 3-run lead and then it's a one game. And he's like shooting the arrow. I was like, yeah, I did that shit. That's the shit I
You're
don't
like barely.
Yeah, and I think like Diego Castillo gives me like huge Fernando Rodney vibes.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like super inconsistent and he just has a tendency to get batters on base for if it's like clutch hits or walks. I think that's why he's been kind of pushed because I feel like I can't watch a game with Diego and he gets through an inning cleanly.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna think he's gonna lock it down.
No,
Like,
yeah, I
there's
never.
doubts.
I was like, oh my god, now I have to fucking panic and worry about the last inning here.
Yeah.
Like,
And Diego will throw it in the dirt, and it's scary.
yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's like catcher.
I don't think Castillo's bad, Diego Castillo. I just think with a bullpen so stellar that you stand out when you're not like meeting that expectation. But he's still a great reliever, and I like him. He comes in, sure, he'll get some guys on base, but he tends to get out of it quite a bit. But I mean, he kind of likes to dig a bit of a hole and then fill it in real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think he's the worst of the bullpen?
Might be
Festa?
toward the bottom. Yeah, Festa's not great. But yeah, I
Festa
guess
got
if
sent
you-
down, right? Though he's back in Tacoma right now.
If you had to rank him, Castillo would be at the lower end, but he's still not bad. That's the thing. The Mariners bullpen is so sick that
I
it's
don't
like
know.
yeah, you
They are
got
sick.
1 or 2 guys in there that could be better, but
I
they're
mean-
still fine.
We got Trevor Gott.
I don't like Trevor Gott.
Anyway, I just wanted to touch on Paul Sewald again because, even though his fastball velocity isn't up there, he throws like rising fastballs. And then his slider plays off of that so well, like especially pitching to lefties, throwing a back foot slider. If they're expecting fastball, like they're check swinging super hard on those sliders going down towards the back foot. And dude, his pitches are so effective because he has one arm slot. It's either a rising fastball or it's a slider that's coming at your back foot or falling off the table. And he's been so good and effective and consistent. He has a 1 whip right now, meaning he leaves one person on base, not leaves, but one person gets on base per inning. Walks and hits per inning pitched is 1. And that's the standard for that's great. You have one person get on base and that's it on average.
Also, what you were saying about the arm slot, he has kind of a unique arm slot. It's like it's not sidearm, but like it's a little bit more crooked than a 3/4. So the majority of pitchers will throw straight overhand, and then you'll have a select few that go kind of the 3/4 arm slot, where if it was a clock, your hand would be at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, math is tough.
12,
Bro, we're
1.
talking about clocks, not talking about math.
Yeah, okay.
1 o'clock slot, and a sidearm would be like a 3 o'clock slot, and he is like at 1:30. So it's kind of like this in between of a 3/4 and a slide arm. It definitely looks kind of awkward when he's throwing it, but it works. And yeah, to have 2 pitches and to shut hitters down with it, I mean, it's crazy. And today, for his save, he faced 2 righties and a lefty. And the 2 righties were swinging at sliders like they had never seen a slider before. And it's coming in at 85. Like, it's not blowing past guys. It just has this wicked late movement that hitters look foolish on. And it's just, yeah, like Sewald is the dude. And we've kind of talked before in the past about how the Mariners kind of don't have a traditional closer, and sometimes they'll use different people in the role. But it really seems like Sewald's becoming that dude.
He's been the rock back there for sure. Even though we don't have a necessarily like closer every time guy. Like Sewald is a 9th inning guy. When we have the lead and we put him in there, we have trust in him. The whole team has faith that he's going to get it done. He goes out there and gets outs, and he's only gotten better over the last 2 years.
He closed out the Rockies series today with the beautiful sweep, first sweep of the season.
Struck
Very
out
nice
the
to see.
side. He struck out the side today, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. That's what you want to see. And now we've got our upcoming series coming up. We've got the Brewers coming into town and the Cardinals following right after. We have a Thursday off day, which if you look at the Mariners schedule or like MLB schedule, it seems like Thursdays are pretty much the planned off day. I think there's like 5 Thursday games throughout the entire season. So Thursday is pretty much the go-to rest day, travel day. And what's big for the Mariners is it's an at-home rest day, which is always a million times more beneficial to the team than having it as a travel day.
I like the Wednesday day games and then Thursday off day kind of thing. It's good because then you can travel for the weekend series and be rested for the big games where they're going to be sold out and nationally distributed, on ESPN. The weekend are the biggest games, and you want to be ready for those. Thursday is a perfect off day for baseball.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, the Wednesday afternoon is neat, especially if there's a handful of people that work nighttime jobs. And you can't go to a 7:10 start. But if you start later on in the evening, you can catch that 1 o'clock game before going to work, which is cool and gives a nice day in the middle of the week that fans who might not traditionally be able to attend a game can. So I like it. And yeah, the Thursday off is perfect. But it is funny looking at the schedule because it's usually so jam-packed and filled. And then you just see these Thursdays of just blankness of kind of a universal rest day for the league.
Yeah, you look at the schedule, like the palette of games on the app, and it's like, oh, there's only 4 games today. Dope. Like most teams are traveling and have an off day. So yeah, like you're saying, the Brewers are coming up. They're playing pretty well recently, right? I think they have a good record in the NL Central over there. Because the Cardinals are struggling a little bit, but they're going to come around. They have a really solid team. I'm going to look at the standings here and see how these teams are doing. We have a whole swath of National League teams that we're playing right now. It's unusual. The new schedule is very apparent.
Yeah, you're seeing it very early on in this season, all the onslaught of National League games in a row.
So the Milwaukee Brewers, they're 11-5 and first.
That's a good start. That's a great start.
First in the Central over there. The St. Louis Cardinals are 7-9 right now, and they're kind of struggling, but they have a really solid team. They need their pitching to come together. They're going to do better than that. Just like us and the Astros right now, like the Mariners just made it back to 500. We're on a 4-game winning streak.
Hell yeah.
So the Mariners are making their way towards the top. The Angels are on a losing streak. They're going to go down. The Rangers look more formidable than they've ever been. So we're looking forward to these National League games to kind of get the ball rolling, play against a good team in Milwaukee, play against a good team in the Cardinals. They're going to be here, not in those cities. But we need to get the ball rolling because after that, we end up playing the AL West. So
one interesting thing, who's returning back to town with the Brewers?
Winker.
Jesse Winker coming back to town.
Abraham Toro. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
maybe Abraham Toro.
One thing I am wondering is how the Mariners fans will react to Jesse Winker's return. And there's a chance he might not even play. Winker is day-to-day, so there is a chance that he might not play against the Mariners. But if he does, I'm kind of curious about what the reception will be, if he will be booed on his return, if he'll get some cheers. He definitely left the team with kind of a sour taste. He didn't show up to the Mariners playoff game, which I personally found to be kind of booty. I think he should have been there. It was weird that he wasn't, but it was clear that he wasn't a good fit here. He didn't like it here, and he didn't perform well for us. And so I can see some of the boos and like some fans being kind of pressed against him. However, he did have the brawl, which turned the Mariners season around last year, and he did hit a grand slam last year. So those are two things that could kind of work in his favor. I think it will be kind of split, possibly, but I think he might get booed some by more Mariner fans.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I could see both things happening. It just depends on what kind of fan you are. So, like, I'm a baseball fan. I'm a baseball player fan. Jesse Winker as a guy, I like Jesse Winker as a guy. I can't say he didn't try to fit in here. He didn't try to bring the energy here. He definitely did.
He did coin the phrase electric factory, which is still used.
Yeah, and he was in that brawl. He flipped off the crowd.
Yeah, suck it, Angels fans.
Yeah, so like Jesse Winker's a guy who can get the boys fired up. And right now it seems like the Mariners need to get fired up, and we were kind of missing a catalyst. So Winker, even though he had a bad performance, I think was a catalyst type guy. Even though it would help when he's, performing well, it's obviously better. I don't think he's going to get any boos. I don't think he brought a negative vibe to the Mariners. I don't even think him missing games late in the season, like he just wasn't in it. It was obvious by the end of the season that he wasn't fitting in here and that things weren't going so well for him medically. Like we were talked about before, like I think there were things underlying with Jesse Winker that we didn't know about that were more serious. He had spinal injuries, like he had a neck surgery on the offseason. So I think Jesse Winker tried. I still wish him luck. I would clap for him when he came back. I'm just saying I wouldn't boo. I'm the fan that would clap for him because he tried to feel it out and do his best here.
I'm with Matt, about 90%. I'm a Jesse Winker fan on the Mariners or otherwise. But the only thing I disagree with when you said you don't think people are going to boo him, I think people are going to boo him because there's a whole bunch of Patricks in the stands.
Yeah.
And they're going to see some small shit that doesn't really matter. And Jesse Winker's still really cool. I would totally cheer for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get booed. I think he's not gonna get a standing ovation.
No, by no means.
Mike Zunino got a standing ovation on opening day from his return with the Guardians. That was really cool to see.
Zunino put in the time, put in the effort. He was his bat struggled for sure, but he was a great catcher.
He was even on the Rays in between. It's not like he just left the Mariners.
You stand for Z, but you don't stand for Winker.
I'm saying.
Hell no, bro. I don't like Winker. Like, I'm not gonna boo him because I respect that he played for us, but like he played for us very poorly. The one shining moment that we can all recall is something not even baseball related. It
did happen on a baseball field.
It doesn't count.
Slightly baseball related.
It doesn't count. I can't be like, I attended a game. I ran the bases. I'm not a baseball player, Like, he fought somebody. Like, cool. That was cool to see, but like, did it...
He fought somebody? He fought the Angels.
It is a good point that Garrett brings up. He did hit a grand slam, but everyone remembers the brawl way more. Sorry. Yeah, Patrick brought
I'll take full credit for that point.
I didn't even remember he hit a grand slam. Exactly. That's how bad he was.
Yeah, that's the point is like, yeah, everyone remembers the brawl more than the grand slam. So that was his main impact on the team.
He just didn't do anything. He played like shit in the outfield. Like, it's bad when Kelenic, who was also having his like really bad struggles, and we're like, oh my god, it's night and day. He was that main offensive centerpiece for that trade with Cincy. It was like, we're getting Castillo, this amazing pitcher, and Winker, who is nasty. And then
Suarez. We got Suarez and Winker.
Well, no,
Castillo
came in later.
Well, yeah, we got Suarez and Winker, but like, Winker was like the center point of that trade. Like,
That's
we
supposed
didn't-
to be.
we-
Yeah, he was.
So you're
he
saying the hype was
spotlight.
high and the performance was low, and that's why you don't like Jesse Winker.
I don't like him for a lot of reasons. I'm going to keep going.
But now look at Suarez being the gold.
No, I'm
in that
happy
trade.
Suarez is
That's
great.
amazing.
I'm
yeah.
great. I'm
No,
very thankful for
I
Suarez.
feel what you're saying. Like they swapped pieces in that
Yes.
trade, thinking Winker was the gold, but Suarez is the gold.
Suarez was just the extra, the bag that came with the
Right.
gold.
Yeah.
Matt, you said that we're like, oh, he had these health woes or whatever, the spine thing.
He ran
like,
into the wall earlier in the year, and like,
Should have played better defense.
dude, he got
Right.
pulled out of the game after running into the wall, like without realizing he was so close. And
That's why there's a
after
warning
that-
track. I
Yeah,
gotta.
they
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
It's right there in
They
the
tell
name.
you.
Yeah,
All
hey
right.
man, I'm saying that he had injuries. I'm not saying that. Man, I like Jesse Winker and I know what he can be. So
he can't be
I'm gonna root for him.
Me
Yeah,
too.
dude, he didn't perform well for the Mariners. I completely understand that. Like, we're not gonna, cheer for the guy. It's a
No,
1 year thing, and he came in and was kind of a catalyst guy. Hopefully, he can move on in his career and do that somewhere else. Like,
Exactly what I'm saying. He's not
Let's
a
go.
Zunino. He's not a Nelson Cruz. He's not going to get the standing O. But, I mean, I'm not going to boo the guy. I still like Jesse Winker. He's cool.
I don't like him.
that's fine.
He can do his own thing in Milwaukee. I don't give a shit. Like,
I hope he does.
We'll see what
yeah,
happens. Yeah,
if you want to win, I mean, he could win MVP batting title, like World Series MVP. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm just glad he's not on the Mariners. Like,
for sure. Yeah, I got you.
I will just say, kind of throwing some shade at me that there's a bunch of Patricks in the crowd. They're gonna.
There
boo.
are. They're all going to boo him.
I wouldn't personally. Boo
I know
him.
you wouldn't.
I would boo someone that really deserves it, and I think he kind of deserves it. And I really don't like how he quit on the team, but I do personally cut him some slack. Sometimes shit just isn't a good fit for someone. And also, he had to move, and I believe his daughter was still in Cincinnati when he was playing for Seattle.
Oh,
and
dude, that's rough.
I
But
believe that
I
really
understand
wore,
what you're saying. Yeah.
that really wore on him too, and it is unfortunate. Being separated from your child like that, and just the change, and just it wasn't a good fit. It can happen to everyone. I'll give him a couple half-hearted claps. I wouldn't boo him, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people did throw some boos his way.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I just happened to throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
I would think, when he comes up, people will clap and you'll hear some underlying boos. That's it. And then we'll move on. We'll go. There's no pause in the game for that.
Yeah, we don't wish him ill in his future.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Brewers, though. They have Corbin Burns pitching against Flexen on April 17th here.
Let's hope Flexen has a bounce back start. The pod is obviously a big fan of Flexen. We've been singing his praises a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good guy. He's a great pitcher. He had a rough outing, which is going to happen with any, 5 or 6 starter. You're going to get lit up. It happens. It was an unfortunate time for it to happen, especially with such a damn cushion. It would be different if he got tagged for 10 runs and the Mariners weren't scoring. But to have an 8-run cushion and for him to throw it away,
Yeah,
brutal.
that sucked. So we're hoping for a Flexen bounce back, especially pitching against Corbin Burns, who is usually one of the best pitchers in the National League. Flexen's going to go out and do his best. We'll see what happens. On Tuesday the 18th, there's a guy pitching for the Brewers named Ray, R-E-A is his last name. I've never heard of him, but he has a 1.59 ERA with 6 Ks, so it looks like he made a start and did pretty well. And we have Logan Gilbert going there on Tuesday. So,
Also, wasn't Logan's last start a little rough?
It was the one before that was rough. He came back and had a pretty good one afterward.
he had a good one, yeah. Gilbert was pitching on the day after the one we got blown up, right? Like he pitched the day we won 5-1. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, Logan Gilbert's our second pitcher in this series, and then Wednesday day game is TBD. But who do we expect to pitch? Kirby or probably Kirby after Flexen.
Also, I'm curious if Marco, when he returns from paternity leave, there's a chance that he will pitch in the upcoming series against St. Louis, which will be interesting because he will face Tyler O'Neill, who he was traded for straight up between the Mariners and Cardinals, because Marco was on the Cardinals and we traded Tyler O'Neill for Marco straight up. So that's going to be kind of a fun head-to-head matchup that we can really enjoy and see how that plays out.
That will be fun. Tyler O'Neill recently got benched for like not hustling and stuff like that too. Like they're struggling.
I saw that.
And then he had some comments kind of detrimental to the team, which I don't think he was wrong. Basically, he gave an interview about him getting benched, and he was like, yeah, I don't know why the coach called me out like that. I feel like those conversations can be handled in-house. And so he was definitely throwing some shade at the coaches, which he's not necessarily wrong, but still, he's a younger guy in the league.
Was that like at a press conference? Like
yeah, it was
like after the game.
In the clubhouse interview.
That's pretty weird to say like that openly.
Yeah, he was very blatant. Like that conversation should have been kept in-house.
Yep. You know what should be kept in-house? Exactly what you're doing. Like
that's true too.
Dude, take that one on the chin and just bring it to the... No,
I agree.
Right out of ground ball, bro. Like,
yeah.
I agree. And O'Neill, Coach was probably slightly in the wrong at first for like publicly calling him out, but also he's the coach and you're a younger guy in the league. You gotta, you like Garrett said, take it on the chin. And he didn't. And he was very outspoken.
It's just funny to say these should happen behind closed doors and say that openly. It's like,
the coach
take your own advice, man.
Yeah. When the coach disciplines you, be disciplined. You're a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be disciplined yourself. Run, dude. If he's telling you that you can't lollygag around first base or third base, it's because he was lollygagging around third base, not expecting the throw to go home, and he was out at home. Like, they're about to score a run. You can't be lollygagging around third, looking at where the throw's at, and then pick it up and sprint. Like, be sprinting around third and trust the sign your third base coach is giving you and go hard the whole way. Like, that's a run you just cost us, like, possibly a game, you know? And it makes sense that the coach should do that. He should be a guy that disciplines the players when they're being coming up lame that way, when they're not injured. There's no reason to be coming around third base at 3/4 speed and not 100%. So I understand where it's coming from, and their team is struggling, even though they're a really nice roster over there in St. Louis that we're going to see next weekend. I'll be at the game Saturday.
Hell yeah.
So, they're just trying to get things going in the right direction because they're a team that can really roll when they get it right. And Tyler O'Neill just fueling the fire, it doesn't help.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see this with losing teams. It happened with the Mariners when we were dog shit in like 2017, 2018, when the guy for the Phillies, our old D. Gordon and Gene Segura got into a fist fight in the locker room. Like, that's what happens when teams are playing bad and they're imploding from the inside. And winning teams, you don't have to deal with these kind of issues. And like Matt said, Cardinals have a better roster than they're performing. And this is the kind of shit that can be very detrimental to your team from the inside out. And I'll give the coach even more leeway, but it should have been handled in-house. Tyler O'Neill should have definitely handled it in-house, and he wasn't doing himself any favors by then calling the coaching staff out on top of it. So it's curious to see. Maybe they use this as a tipping point, and they bounce back and start to get shit rolling, or vice versa. It just implodes them even more. So we'll see how that series goes against the Mariners, and hopefully, if they are having that kind of inner turmoil, the Mariners capitalize on it and get a series win, if not a sweep.
If it works out for us, then good.
Yeah. Owen brought this topic up as our CS guys last week after our pod had ended, and we really liked it and decided to carry it over into this episode. Owen, what you got for us?
Yeah, I wanted to see your guys' thoughts on if you're at T-Mo and an opposing team hits a home run and you catch it, do you throw it back or keep it?
That's a great question because a lot of times it is kind of a staple along with a bunch of teams that if the opposing team hits a home run, a fan catches it, you throw it back onto the field is kind of like a disrespect, like, oh, we don't want this. Throw it back. It's kind of just a fun thing to do. However, catching a home run ball is also a big moment. And yeah, let's just kind of bounce around. Owen, do you want to start off what you would do if you caught a home run ball?
Yeah, it's very situational. Like if Mike Trout hits one or Shohei hits one and I catch it, like, you know, I mean, those are generational players. I got to keep that. But if it's like Rendon, or just
Throw it
some
back.
like bum at like Winker, if he hits one and I catch it, like I'm throwing that shit back. I don't give a shit.
I was
on it
gonna say,
first.
what if it's a previous Mariner?
Give
For
me
the
Depends on the
opposing
Mariner.
end.
100%.
So if it's Winker, you're throwing it back.
Carlos
Yeah,
Santana,
100.
I'm keeping it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
like
Yeah.
if it's someone
Jay
like
Bruce.
I'm throwing that shit back. I forgot about Jay Bruce until we literally
What if
brought
it's
him on the
Ed-
pod
Yeah,
earlier.
like,
What
oh,
if
yeah,
it's
that guy.
Edwin Encarnacion?
That might have to be a game time decision.
Yeah.
That's a give.
Like,
it to
are
a
we
kid.
winning?
I was gonna say that's a give it to a kid. Dude, there's 3 options here. You
No,
keep it.
hell
you throw
no.
It
I
back.
would never give it to a kid unless I'm
Oh,
like
wow.
50. Bro, okay.
I think 30 is too old to be hoarding baseballs.
Oh, well, then
Okay,
wait until
bro.
you hear my
Okay,
answer.
bro. No. You got
Yeah.
you got to do them. Gary, you got to see it from my perspective, bro. Like, I think everything, like, in terms of data and, like, statistics, and, like, the statistics of you catching a home run ball are, like, 1 in a million. Like, it's just never going to happen. Patrick has been to, like, 1,000 games. I've been to probably, like, a couple hundred. Like, I've never even been close to catching one. Like,
Yeah.
why would I catch one and, like this whole like out of body experience, like, hey, 6-year-old who I'm never gonna fucking see again, you want this ball? You're not gonna appreciate, you're not gonna understand it. You want this ball? No. So I reserve the right to keep a ball depending on the player who hits it. Most of the players I will throw back on the field.
So my answer is kind of along the lines with Owen. I have been to, yes, over 1,000 Mariner games in my life. I grew up with season tickets, and I still try to catch more games than I miss as often as I can.
Yeah, catch more balls.
I have tried. I have come close 3 times in my life. And out of all the games I've ever been to, I have had one that
One close call.
I've had one that this is actually no bullshit. I was probably 10, 11 years old. I was in my 330 seat. I still had season tickets at this time. A ball was hit straight back, and it landed kind of like in the middle steps on the aisle. I had my hand on it, and a grown man took my hand and slammed it against the stairs and grabbed the ball from me.
So you're gonna
And
pay it forward?
That's
took it.
brutal.
Yeah, I'm
Beat up
waiting
some
to.
kids for a ball?
Little Timmy's gonna catch an elbow to the chops, bro. And then he'll do the same, and the cycle continues. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, because that's how we make more Mariners fans.
I wouldn't beat up a kid for the ball. But yeah, some asshole literally slammed my 11-year-old hand against the steps to free the ball. That was frustrating.
Yeah, no, that totally sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. I had one, and of course, my dad was known at the time. He was the Buhner guy. He did this long Buhner chant whenever. Yeah, he did a very elongated call, and he like actually did interviews in like magazines and shit about the Mariners. He was known as the Buhner guy, and one time Jay Buhner hit a foul ball straight back, and I put again, young teenager, put my hands up, nicked off my hands, went to the people directly behind me, and I was like, can I have that ball? And they said no. And I was like, okay. And last year, I went to a game with Bunch, and our producer, Nathan Bunch, is winning smile over there.
He's on the 1s and 2s. He runs the behind the scenes.
And we were sitting in not a traditional foul ball area. We were halfway up in the 300 level around the third base side. Ball comes up straight up. I put my hands kind of down low to cradle it. The person in front of me put his hands up high. He caught the ball with his hands in my hands. If I had been a little bit more aggressive and raised up, I would have caught it. Alas, I didn't. And at least that guy didn't beat me, like didn't slam my hands or anything over it. So he got that one fair and square. But, those are 3 close times in the thousands of innings that I've attended in games and everything. And honestly, if I ever got the chance to catch a ball, I am holding on to that shit. I'm not giving it to a kid. I'm sorry, little Timmy, but my life is already, reaching it's reached some milestones. Bro. Like I have significantly less time on this big blue earth than little Johnny does. So he can use his time in life to try to catch his own. I'm not giving it away. If it is a home run ball and it's someone I hate, I will throw it back. To me, personally, that would be more worth it than to hold on to that ball. But if it's like a foul ball or anything like that, I'm holding on to that shit. And I already know I'm going to cry real manly tears. Whenever I catch that first ball, I am going to tear up and I have no shame in it. But yeah, sorry, Johnny. Sorry, Timmy. You ain't getting this ball from me.
For sure. That's totally reasonable and understandable. What a life story. God damn. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Totally reasonable and understandable.
Yes. I've never caught a home run ball. Never caught a foul ball in a live game. So when I was younger, my grandparents had season tickets to the Rainiers games, and I lived down there one year. So nice. I went to almost every home game for an entire season, and we went to plenty of games in between. My brother and I, we'd go down to the right field bleachers and hang out and wait for foul balls. And we never got one on the fly, but occasionally we'd get one that's in the stands on a slow night and all that. It's fun to get a ball that's in a live game.
Right.
Batting practice is one thing. But getting a ball in a live game is a special feeling for sure. And when there's other people around competing for that ball, it's even more special. So I agree in the I'm not giving this ball to a kid camp because I've never caught one, dude. The amount of games I've been to, all the kids that are there, if they love baseball, they're going to continue going to baseball games and hope for that opportunity as well. If a ball is hit to me and I catch it, I'm taking it home with me. I'm probably getting it authenticated at the stadium. Even if it's a opposing player, I'll take that ball home with me because it's a special moment. It's the first time. If it's happened to me before, if I've caught a home run ball and I've had that novel experience and that out of body experience you're talking about, Owen, then yeah, cool. If I've had it once, yeah, maybe I'll think about giving that ball to a kid. Maybe,
I'll consider it.
I got a pretty good arm. Throwing it back on the field is the most tempting thing because I can throw the ball pretty far. I'm going to throw it to second base, dude.
Hell yeah.
So I would keep the ball. Wouldn't give it to a kid. I'd say, good luck next time.
Life is full of disappointments.
Yeah, man. The only ball I've gotten at T-Mobile Park, though, it was 2016, 17 when Ichiro was still on the Marlins, and I didn't know if he was going to come back to the Mariners. I thought he was going to retire, without playing on the Mariners again. So he's in town, and there's batting practice going on, and Ichiro's hanging out in right field, and this ball's hit. It looks like it's going to be a homer or off the wall or off the, off the track. This ball bounces off the track, off the wall, off the dude next to me's glove, and I snag it underneath his glove. But Ichiro's running out to field this ball that looks like it's off the wall. So he's just right underneath me. I'm in the first row in right field there. And I snag the ball and look down, and he's looking up because he thought he was fielding the ball and throwing it in. But he looks up and nods at us, and I was like, yeah, you the man, Ichiro. And that was the coolest thing. That's the only ball I've ever caught at that field. And that's the only interaction I've had with any major player that way, which was just a tiny little snippet of an interaction. But I really remember that. I kept that ball, still have it in my room. I'm going to keep every ball I get, more than likely.
I just wanted to say real quick, sorry, Garrett. I just want to say the thing is
chopped liver?
No. But with baseball, the thing is it makes us all kids still, right? We love this game. We're kids.
Exactly.
When we watch it, we're grown adults now and stuff, but anytime I'm at the ballpark, I might as well be 5 years old again.
Yeah.
Man. The sights, the sounds, the smells.
And if you catch a ball, you're definitely 5 years old.
Yeah, 100%. Anyways, sorry, Garrett. Go for it. What do you got?
If I catch a ball from an opposing player, a home run ball, foul ball, doesn't matter. First thing I'm going to do is probably hold the ball up and finish whatever drink I'm doing, get on camera, or at least try to.
I like it.
And be like, yeah, I fucking did it! Yeah!
Yes.
And then I'm going to look around for the nearest little kid. If there's not one close, if there is one close, I'm handing it to the kid.
No
I'm gonna high five the
way,
kid.
bro.
Then, if there's not a little kid close, I'm throwing it back. For sure. I don't need it. Like, what
So
I want
Hayatani's-
is to get the 2 seconds of footage.
You want the screen time.
I want the screen time.
I feel it.
I'm about that screen time. So I catch the ball, right? Finish my beer, huck it back, and the announcers get to be like, oh, what a cool dude. He hucked it back. Or the announcers get to be like, oh, good guy. You gave it to a kid. Man. Yeah, I can't believe you guys. Y'all are douchebags.
He's in it
Oh,
for
I
the
don't
public
care.
image.
I don't even care.
No,
Call
that's
me a
bullshit.
dude.
We are
bullshit.
30 plus years
I don't-
old.
No, I don't
I mean,
know.
I understand. You get 5 years old when you're around baseball. Totally get it. That's why we do a podcast.
Also, I want to give a shout out. I had an old baseball coach who had season tickets into right field, which is a pretty common, it was 100 level right field, pretty common spot for home runs to land. And this dude came prepared. He would bring fake baseballs in his bag. And if he caught a home run ball, he would pocket the home run ball, grab a fake one from his bag, and throw it out, throw it back onto the field. So that way he got the credit as like the fan threw it back, but then also held on to it for himself. I mean, talk about winning two
Yeah,
ways.
there's a
That's-
couple of
that's-
really cool clips of kids doing that. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, their dad was like, yo, pocket this shit, bring it into the stadium. If you catch a ball, here's the game plan. Like, he sets him up for like, dude, you keep the real one and you throw the fake one back just for showmanship's sake. But then we got that ball, bro.
Yeah,
That's really funny. Honestly, I appreciate it. That's pretty cool. Oh no, there was the kid who gave it to the girl.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
that's some preparation,
And he's like,
dude.
here you go. And she's like, oh, so cool for you to just give that to me. And then he sits down and he's like, dumbass.
Pocketed the real one.
I
on
got
the,
the
other
ball.
side of
yeah.
her, he's like showing
Little
the ball
sleight of hand there
to the
Yeah.
Magician
camera.
in training.
That's admirable, especially for
Yeah.
a child. But I'm saying we are adults.
Well, 3 against 1 on this one. Screw them kids. Sucks to suck.
Those
Yeah.
kids will eventually be adults like us.
Yeah.
True.
The cycle continues.
If I keep the ball, they keep the ball.
Yep.
Yeah, there's different kind of cycles going. There's the good karma cycle, you give it to a kid. There's the fuck you cycle, you throw it back onto the field, don't give a shit. And there's the sentimental, romantic, this
Yep.
is my first home run ball, or it's a meaningful moment for you, so you keep it.
I will say throw it back is my last option.
It's my second option.
Second option. You keep it as my last option.
Keep it as your last option. My
If it's
first
a previous Mariner, I'm probably going to keep it.
option. Yeah.
You want to do something with it.
But here's another thing. You said you wanted to get it authenticated. I just imagine myself getting this ball. What am I going to do? Like, go after the game to try and meet the player and be like, will you sign this ball? I'm going to look pathetic as
No,
an
no,
adult.
hell
no,
like
no,
that,
no,
bro.
no,
Nope,
no.
I don't
What you
agree.
do is
about?
you
I think
talk
that's
to the
sad shit.
stadium and they
You're
put a
right.
sticker on it and say this is a foul ball from this player. Like, I'm not gonna go down and get it signed. That's not authentication.
I feel
That's
like that's
what you-
embarrassing.
No,
That's
what
it's-
kids do.
Bro, you're in baseball.
Exactly.
Nothing
That's
is
what
embarrassing.
kids do.
I did that when I
No,
was a kid.
you
should
kids
do it when
get
you're a
given
kid.
It was
balls
awesome,
by
yeah.
fucking strangers. That's embarrassing.
yeah.
If they were better, they would have caught it themselves.
If they were
No,
taller,
you trade
maybe.
that shit. You give, like, if it's a home run ball, you give it back. Like, if it's like a career milestone, like a first home run or 100th, you give it back to the player. In
Yeah, I do
exchange
agree
for,
with
like,
that.
I would
photo
do that.
op,
Oh, yeah,
signed
okay,
gear,
okay.
shit
We didn't
like
talk
that.
about that. Yeah, if
That's
it's a
a-
milestone ball from whatever player, you
100%.
get
But
it back
also,
to 'em.
because the team,
They'll hook you up with
yeah,
whatever.
they give
yeah.
you stuff
Yeah.
in
Jersey,
return
a
for the
bat.
ball. A jersey, autograph.
and
stuff.
we're all on the same page with
I
that,
am on
right?
the page with
Yes.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Milestone home run,
absolutely.
100% give it back to the player.
Totally.
I'm not taking that away from a player ever.
Same.
Well, like
Yeah.
the fucking, was it Red Sox that, like, Matasuki or Might have been a Yankee guy. He hit his first career home run, and the family caught it, and they did not give it back.
Oh, Hideki Matsui.
There
is
we
that
go.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty shitty of them.
That's really fun.
I agree with that.
Especially
Mad
to a
shitty.
Japanese player that came over to play for the Yankees in America.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you guys see
like,
Duder
yo.
hit his I can't remember if it was a home run or a foul ball or whatever, but he hit it to his dad.
I did see that. It was a foul ball, but yeah,
It's
to his
either
dad.
way, that's crazy
That was really
odds.
cool.
That's Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
It
That's
was
awesome.
Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah.
That's
The
so
Royals,
sick.
Yeah.
And he's like up in like diamond level shit. He's like, it's like a very narrow window for him
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
up
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
What low odds? That was really cool.
That is
Fate.
sick.
So yeah. All right. If it's a kid, sorry, kid, unless you're Garrett.
Disagree.
Milestone, home run. Obviously, give
question.
it back to the player. No
Yeah.
questions there.
Yeah, trade it back, get
yeah.
a picture.
Yeah, get a picture, get an autograph, whatever, but give it back to the player. The player deserves that ball, 100%. You know who doesn't deserve the ball? Little Johnny in second grade. He's worried about his shapes test on Thursday. He's not getting a ball from me. Sorry, bro. Knock out some of those baby teeth if I have to.
If you don't know the Pythagorean theorem, you don't deserve to have a baseball. If you're not 4'10", good
Y'all
luck.
are wild for this shit.
No, dude.
It's a
That's
cold
the
world.
way it is, dude.
It is a
Yo.
cold world.
Get out there in the stadium, see how it is. Yeah, people keep those balls.
You'll get there, Garrett. Once you become a fan for a couple of years, you're like, damn, I really wish I would have just like punched the shit out of a kid. For a while.
I'm
All
never
right.
throwing elbows. No.
You don't,
There it
under-
is.
you
Nah,
don't understand the odds fully, bro. Like, it's just,
Oh, I get it.
you have a better odds of like getting killed by a vending machine.
And that's just
Specific.
science.
Specific. Yeah.
Well, I
All
was thinking
right.
of-
all right.
Anyways, yeah.
That's enough of
All
that.
right. Sorry, we had a big topic there. It was a lot of fun kicking around the idea with you guys. Thank you so much for the listeners. Also want to give a special listener shout out. Bella, you know who you are. Thank you for being a big fan of the pod. Really appreciate it. We'll start giving more fan shout outs because we like our listeners. We love you guys. You guys have been dedicated fans, and you guys have been always on top of whenever we release. You check out the episode as soon as possible, and we really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my dad. He was at the game on his birthday on the 15th, and they blew that thing wide open. Won the game. It was a good game. Happy birthday, Dad. Thanks for listening.
My friends don't like baseball, but what's up, Max, if you're listening?
Shout out to my mom, Katie. She's been commenting on Spotify, which I didn't know you could do.
I didn't know you could do that either.
Look at
Oh,
her
wow.
breaking new ground.
Maybe she's confused. I don't know.
She's like, I'm
commenting
been
somewhere.
writing
I've
comments.
I've been
and
sending
it's-
comments and no one replies.
She's like, no one replies. I'm like, wow, really? Like, we're pretty like up to date on comments. She's like, on Spotify. I'm like,
I don't know what
I
that's all
didn't,
about.
yeah,
never
like, I
seen
didn't say
Spotify
like
comments.
you can't comment on Spotify. Like,
Shout out to Katie. Love you, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Put those comments on YouTube. We'll read them there.
yeah, go on YouTube.
Shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, share the word. We love you all, and go
Go
Mariners!